fans describing their connection with the songs completes a portrait of RD, because if fans are keeping him alive, it's a big thing, because people forget we have short attention spans, and it's a big thing that there are people today who still worship his music and live by it and drag their wives into it also, and that's amazing. Okay, I guess we have lots of questions, so we'll start if there is anything, and we'll try and take it one by one. Are they, or has Brahmanand answered them all already? Are there any observations?
No, it didn't have a theatrical release because I was going through a difficult personal phase of some kind, and I was talking to Shamaru if they could release it, and if they could take the rights of all the clips, because I've used all the film, but the rights that itself is like 8 months job, and so they said yes, and so I gave it to them. And when I gave it to them, they said that we will not go into theatrical release because we have gotten the rights from the music company for audio, for video clips. Every other right is available except that, the theatrical rights. And I said, okay, because first step is theater, next you go into DVD. So I thought that, okay, let me, anyway, documentaries, even if they run in theater, maybe they'll run for a week or so. But I regret that. I regret that because I realized that, and I applaud Jaideep Verma for that, because Jaideep's and this film was around the same time that we were doing the festival circuit, and Jaideep ran into his own sets of trouble, but he waited, and finally PVR did release his film. So, and that was great. So I think that I took a hurried decision, also because I was going through some kinds of ups and downs, and I thought, okay, what is important is that people should see it in some form. So no theatrical release, but regret it.
Yeah, the unedited footage, the way you talk about it, we come to know, as fans of R.D. Burman, that, even that has got a lot of, value. So, can we have a hold of that unedited footage somehow?
In fact, yes, this was like, when I started having screening, this would be invariably one question that I would definitely get that. So what are you doing with the 100-hour footage that you have otherwise, which has not worked in the film or you have not used? And initially I would tell them that, look, I am so, full, and I think there's no corner of my head which is not, occupied with this. So maybe I'll look at it at some point of time. But about a year back, I started seeing those footages, for a different reason. And I realized that I definitely need to get it out. But to get it out is that, somehow my productions become a little more expensive than so many other documentary filmmakers that I know. Because I have assistants who I pay well, unlike others. I pay them well, but they are also of great value, and they are themselves learning so much, which they claim. And so what I realized was that it's there in my hard drive. What is it doing? And at the same time, the dilemma was that even if I start taking out, that also is a cost. So I started looking into that, and after about 6 months of work on that with 3 assistants and 2 editors on it, with about 30-40% of time involvement from me, over a 6-month period, I did finally come out with something, because I couldn't have shared everything with everyone, because there are many things that I won't like to come in public domain, but there are many priceless things that people need to know probably. It's doing nothing in my hard drive, and everybody is wanting to see that. It's difficult for any one person again to do the round and go and speak to Gulzar Sahab and Asha Bhosle and Shankar Hashan Loy and Vishal Bharadwaj. They're busy people themselves. So I have now finally, so I narrowed down to 15 hours, from there to 8 hours, from there to 7.5, finally sealed it at 5 hours with another half an hour where Louis Bank or Manori Singh has played. And those are also very, very, the thing, like Louis Bank, for example, he speaks that only in RD's compositions, among the ones that he's exposed to, is some compositions he has found a certain symphonic range. So he has played for me Kuch Na Kaho, where he has gone into some classical Western elements and come back to the Kuch Na Kaho number. And it makes great listening, and suddenly you wake up and you say that, my God, this is like he can play for half an hour. This, all the, yeah. So he has, and he had told me that he's working on them. I just reminded him. I said that I've kept a little just to remind you, because he had told me that when I compose this, first person that I'll call you to listen is you. But that's not happened. So, but some great stuff. And so finally I have sealed on 5 hours. I'm just calling it Knowing Pancham. At the same time, it's not a film, but I know that somewhere it needs to be released. As I was talking to Radio Fever thing, because Gaurav Sharma is a big Pancham fan there, and he's the head. So he heard about this and he said that before it goes to someone, can I use some, and nobody wants to pay for anything. That's the problem. So. So they said that, well, 27th of June and 1 week, and we'll give you the name as content partners, and can we use? So I have shared some with them. So you'll start hearing that if you're on that Fever. Well, 7 days they will run it. I think about 10-15 clips from this 5 hours, which is like priceless material, because now this film, or this 5 hours, these easily become archival material. Tomorrow, if somebody wants to do research, 30%, 40% of their stuff can actually come out with this. If someone wants to write a thesis, and he's a subject on which it's very definitively a thesis subject, kind of thing. And so I feel that 5 hours is now ready. I'm just trying to see that is there some way in which the 6 months that has gone, even if I don't consider the shoot cost and all, which was part of this film, even if that 6 months time, with 3 of my assistants, 2 of my editors, editing time, at least that can be some way or the other thought. And I've become a little more practical with the passage of time, because there are times when you do things, and I've survived greatly on commission projects. But that never gives you, the cake or the. I mean, this, yes. I mean, you never receive 1,500 pages of stuff of how it has touched them and moved them. This is something that you receive, and so it's just that whatever I think whoever does should do it thoroughly and do it in a way that it relates to people. And I think first choice is yours. You should be able to relate, and there are people I know who sometimes approach things with severe limitations, and I think we all do that. Yeah, I think the challenge is how to overcome that. And here probably I had 5 limitations, 10 limitations, and I just kept thinking if there are ways to bypass this and overstep it and things like that. So for your answer, it is ready. I don't know when I will release it, how, but yes, it will. It's ready. It will reach everyone, definitely.